Hey y'all, hey, it's another episode of Bonafide Her podcast featuring professional hooper and women's sports advocate Mike Lewis II. Pew, 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 pew.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
We blessed to be alive.
Phew, facts. Let's
Yes.
start there. Absolutely.
We gotta feel blessed. Every time we wake up, we just feeling blessed. So
The more grateful you are and what you have, the more you can receive. So it's super important.
very facts. So let's get it started. So, Mr. Mike, can you tell us how you got to where you are and explain your journey?
Oof. Okay. So my journey started. I started in Houston. I was born in Houston. Mom, dad from Houston. I started playing basketball at 5. I say like really competitively. Started playing basketball at 5, which is still really early when you think about it. And that led us to moving to St. Louis, Missouri, when I was around 9, 10, for my dad's job at the time. And anybody that knows anything about the Midwest, it's basketball country, you know. Especially it was big coming from Houston and being in Texas, it's more football country, So moving up there, that's pretty much all there was to do. Especially being in St. Louis, small city, not the safest place in the world either. So it's like, okay, we're gonna make sure we put you around some people that want to do something out of their life, so you don't veer off into the other path. Um, so once I got to St. Louis, it's actually funny how I got introduced to the higher basketball environment of St. Louis. When I first got there, I was playing on one of my dad's friends, his son's team. And anybody in St. Louis knows this gym. It's called Matthew Dickey. And I actually got into a fight in my first, I didn't want to know my first game in St. Louis, but one of my very first games in St. Louis in a tournament. So everybody was like, who is this kid that don't nobody know up here fighting? Like, you know what I mean? So one of the coaches at the time that was pretty big in the AAU game, his name was Steve Webb, had saw that altercation um, and talked to my mom. Then she got to explaining, oh, we're from Houston. We just moved not long ago. He's like, oh, I'm from Port Arthur. So they had the Texas connection. So I get introduced to that group, that team, and that team actually led me to being able to be introduced to Jason Tatum, getting introduced to Reggie Crawford, getting introduced to a bunch of big time names out of the city of St. Louis in basketball as kids, you know. Um, so once I got in that environment, then that kind of led me to going to Chaminade, uh, which of course is where we had our powerhouse team. And then after Chaminade, being on a national schedule, having that attention, that blessed me to be able to have the attention to be able to go to Division One right out of high school, which led me to Duquesne University. I ended up being there for 3.5 years. I transferred at Christmas time of my junior year because there was a new coach. Actually, a new coach came my sophomore year, and this is before I really understood the politics and the business side of college basketball. Right, so to all the young men and young women watching this, if a coach recruits you out of high school to go somewhere, okay, cool, you get a good vibe, you go. If there's a coaching change, I'm not going to tell you to automatically jump ship, but do your due diligence. Because they want a certain look, they want a certain style, they want certain players that they have in mind already, coming either from their old school or from the recruiting process that they've been through, and that's just the business of it. So you can get caught up in a situation that you might not be able to get yourself out of sometimes. Fortunately, I was blessed enough to have had a great freshman year and sophomore year. So being able to transfer at Christmas time, I was able to go to University of Nevada, which was a step up rather than being a top 10 team in the country at the time. So I was blessed enough to, have connections and then have been playing well enough to make that jump. But a lot of guys or females get caught up in that situation and their careers die. It's a lot of people that didn't make it out of that situation. So to all the youngins, pay attention to that. But yeah, transferred. junior year, Christmas time. I went to University of Nevada. Um, Fast forward to that May, the coaches and staff that was there, they leave. So now I'm in another coaching change situation, and at this point, I'm done mentally. Um, I had just lost a close friend of mine in October of this same year, so I'm still grieving and dealing with that. On top of not playing basketball for really the first time in my life, not knowing what's coming tomorrow, So mentally, I was in a really, really messed up place. And again, it's like, I'm done with this. I don't want to be involved with this culture, this environment of college basketball anymore. So I had decided to try to go professional. I had enough film, didn't know because I hadn't played in pretty much a whole season now. So I just gave it to God, and that's when I really started to get deep into my faith and my spirituality, because it's like, God, like, it's on you. If I'm gonna ever hoop again, it's up to you, because I have no idea what's to come next. So I fast forward to this is around this is the 2019. So I want to say like October 2019. Yeah, October 2019. I was going to play in the G League, but on draft day, more politics, technicalities. The team that was supposed to pick me, they don't. And all the other teams had their picks lined up already. So I fall by the wayside again. And then my agent at the time was like, well, we can try to go to Europe, but it's hard because the season's already started. You're a rookie and you haven't played in a year. So it's going to be really hard to find a decent starting point where you can work your way up and not just go somewhere where you can never really work your way up. That's a waste of time. So fast forward, I pretty much go to Christmas of 2019. I actually went back to Duquesne University as a student to finish my degree, because I hadn't finished my degree yet. And they had called my mom and said, we'll finish paying for his degree because they know that they the ones kind of put me in this mess in the first place. But they were good enough people to do that for me. And again, being in a place where you are a star player and now you're there as a regular student with the same group of people, like, this is a year away, you know, and having questions like, "Oh, I thought you was going to the league. Like, I thought you was doing this and that." Like, having to deal with those type of energies is another tough time. It's like, bro, this is crazy. I'm dealing with this right now. So again, like, God, it's up to you. Like, if I'm gonna get out of this situation, I'm still working out every day, doing what I can, um, and having to go through that. And then COVID happens in March of 2020, and the world shuts down. So during that time, my girlfriend at the time, she is a European basketball player, and she is a national team player in her country. So she has, a lot of higher up connects. And I remember her telling me when COVID shut down, I was like, "I'm gonna get you a job." And at this point, I'm like, "Okay, if professional agents can't, I'm not gonna doubt you, but we'll see. I believe it when I see it." Um, and yeah, she made some phone calls in Hungary. It was a coach, a Serbian coach. Forgot his name, Dragon. No, I didn't. Dragon. I thank Dragon to this day. He forever could call my phone. But he watched my film and I was like, I like this. Our budgets are low, so we can't sign the guys that we normally would anyway. But I didn't care. I just wanted the opportunity to get my foot in the door because I knew what I would do once I had that opportunity. And yeah, I went to Hungary August 2020 on actually on a 2-week tryout, just to see if I was still in shape and still a basketball player because I hadn't played for so long. And of course, I had been working out the whole time, so I go in tip top shape, gotten a little better, got a little more athletic because I had fresh legs, all that type of stuff. So everything worked out in my favor. And then I started in Hungary. Then boom, the year after that, I go to Poland. Then last year I was in Italy. Um, got blessed to be joined the national team of Qatar. So now I'm a dual citizen in Qatar, representing their national basketball team. And now this year I'm in Lithuania. So yeah, it's been a hell of a journey, but it's amazing so far.
That's what's a national team in Qatar,
Yeah.
yo, and you know, so you went from the so how was the transition like? I know you were saying like the coaching changes stuff, but how was the transition itself from Duquesne to University of Nevada was like?
Um, it was more familiar actually, because going to Duquesne, it was really dysfunctional because it wasn't a winning program. And coming from Chaminade, we won one championship, but that's a winning program. Like that's what is known of Chaminade in basketball, like before us and after us. So going from that disciplined environment to a dysfunctional one, it was very frustrating. So going from Duquesne to Nevada, it was back to a disciplined championship level environment. So personally, I loved it. It was like, oh, finally, you're in here with like-minded people. You got three people in here that's going to be in the league this upcoming season. So you have that attention. You have the other sit-outs that transferred in from losing programs, but have that killer mentality as well. So it was an iron sharpens iron type of environment. So for me, it was a kid in the candy store. I was like, oh, finally, I'm back to, that type of energy of like, you actually want to be here. You actually want to come to practice. You actually competing, like, you know what I mean? And then afterwards, we can kick it and have fun and still be good men towards each other. So I loved it. It was a big change for sure, but it fit what I was used to.
Especially you were saying like you came from a winning high school, like a powerhouse, because and then just you're not like when you have a you say when you have a winning mindset, you're used to winning championships, and then you go on a team that's like losing. It's like this is not what I signed up for.
Yeah, yeah, like guys coming in 5 minutes before practice, first ones out the door, but then mad because coach not playing you a lot, or you when you do play, you're not having good performances. It's like, bro, you're not working on your craft. You're the first one in the club, but you know what I'm saying. The first one know where a party is at, but you're not. So yeah, that was I hate it. I hate it.
Um, so I didn't realize there was a lot of like I've heard stories, but I didn't realize there was actually a lot of politics when it comes to men's basketball. Like unless you're like in the big league, but like in how was that handling all the politics? Like what was that like?
It was frustrating because I started to realize, and this still goes on to this day. There's certain contracts that certain guys get based off of who they're connected to or who their dad was or uncle or whatever the case may be. But it's super frustrating because my parents just didn't have those connections. Like we built some connections as we got older and being in an environment of people that we were around. But as far as we don't have 30 years back in basketball, like so. And then at the same time, the type of personality I have and the type of family I come from, we're not gonna kiss your ass either. Get certain connections. I'm gonna work and I'm gonna show it when I get the opportunity to show it, and that rubs people the wrong way. So it's I don't even really have the words to explain how it goes because it gets so deep, but at the same time, you see it a lot, and it's a lot of lineage. It's a lot of it's kind of I look at it like a fraternity almost, like it's kind of has that type of vibe to it. And then now you add social media into the mix. There's a lot of guys that are super popular on social media that get certain looks over a guy that actually is meant for that opportunity. So it's a lot that goes into it that has nothing to do with the game itself. So that's frustrating, but at the same time, I'm also big on, and my dad always says, the cream always rises to the top. Your journey might take you 4 or 5 years to get to that main stage, but eventually you keep doing what you're supposed to do and stay healthy, and God willing, the cream always rises to the top. So keep learning what you can learn, keep building what you're building, because at the same time, you can't buy or you can't teach experience. So eventually, when we all got to line up on this big stage, I know more than you because I have to go through this stage and this team and this situation and this mental step back and all of this to get here. And you just got here just because of your name. So there's gonna be something that happens that you can't deal with. That I'm like, oh, that's all I gotta do. Okay, cool. What's the more? So I don't try to stress on it too much, but it definitely happens a lot, unfortunately.
'Cause, like I've always believed there's a saying. I've always believed that, trial tribulations, God can turn your trial tribulations into a testimony. So like people can be able to relate your journey and, see it as like motivation. So, and did you feel like um, mental health in a way has kind of been a big, like, just, do you feel like it was huge at the time when you're when you were playing college?
No, it wasn't as spoken about as it is now. It was still kind of the tough guy, cool guy era, or you just suffer in silence. But I've always been big on mental health. Actually got a psychology degree just because I want to learn more of how the mind works. Because that's always been something that I've seen affect a few of my family members, and I knew it has affected me before. And I've always been very vocal about uh, my depression stages. Sometimes I still deal with seasonal depression, especially when I'm not able to see the sun. So I'm huge on therapy, even if you don't feel like you're crazy. Like my therapist tells me all the time, therapy isn't for crazy people; it's to prevent you from going crazy. So no, it wasn't as popular as it is now, and I love how open it's starting to be. But at the same time, you have to be careful because there are sharks in the water. So you don't want to say too much or put too much on Front Street because unfortunately, some people will use it as your weakness. And you might not think that person would do that to you, but they will, and that's just the world we live in. So, it's a slippery slope, but yeah, I definitely am a huge advocate of it, and I 100% agree, especially as an athlete, man, woman, it doesn't matter. We deal with so much on a day to day, from just being tired all the time and still having to perform, or this body part hurts, but it's not really a full blown injury, so you kind of got to deal with it. You may be taking painkillers, or you may be taking ibuprofen for games, and it's just like you got all of this going on in your body, these chemicals, especially like for the people that are away from home, even in college or if you are in Europe, or even some NBA and WNBA players, like they're away from home on road trips, like so you spend a lot of time in isolation. So it gets deep, it gets dark. So I think every person, but for sure every athlete should have a life coach type person, or a therapist type person. It doesn't have to be 2, 3 times a week, but once a week, once every couple of weeks, just to check in, just to, and then at the same time, learn yourself and figure out what is it that's triggering this so I can heal it and grow, you know? And then, like you said, be a testimony for someone else because I've grown through this. I've healed from this. So I can literally help you with that because I've literally done it myself, Each one teach one type deal.
Because I remember you mentioned iron sharpens iron as Proverbs 27:17. So,
Exactly.
and I always wondered because for me, like as women athletes, we're more emotional than
Mhm.
male athletes. And I've always wondered why is it like from your perspective, why is it hard for male athletes to be able to express or be vulnerable? And how can, say, a person be able to provide that safe space for you guys?
I think it's hard just because just being a man. I mean, especially being a black male, like that's just something we were never taught. Like, and for generations, you know, our job is to provide. I'm gonna go air quotes because that's a different discussion. But our job is technically to provide, is to be the rock, is to be the person that people lean on. And a lot of times you hear it growing up, and I've heard it growing up. What you crying for? Men don't cry. Toughen up. Like, so you're being taught to be emotionless as you get older, and you think it's normal because of your environment, and the men around you are doing the same thing. So you like, okay, this is how men must act. But then you get to a point where it's like, well, I don't feel right, and then that's when you either, okay, let me figure out what's really supposed to be going on. Or, no, this is how men feel. I'm 10 toes. You know, you hear how I'm tough. I'm 10, like, don't nothing bother me. Bro, you're hurting, bro. I can look at you and say, you want to cry. That's fine. It's not weak. But men showing emotion is guaranteed as being a simp, or it's being weak, or whatever the case may be. And a lot of men like, yeah, you ain't calling me that because I'm not. And then you're killing yourself for the most part on the inside. Like, you're self sabotaging by holding all of that in. And you can never fully grow. You can never fully be the man you really want to be if you can't emotionally connect with your environment, connect with your woman, connect with your kid, whatever the case may be. Like, you think you're being this tough guy and keeping it all in for the betterment of everybody, but in reality, you're hurting the people that you love. So again, that's just something I feel like we have to start talking about a lot more and being comfortable. But again, as you said, with the safe space, that's tricky because again, you never really know someone's intentions. And someone can have great intentions, but you never know what they're going through. And over the course of time, they can change because of what they're going through. It has nothing to do with you. So that could have been a safe space for you, but now they're dealing with something and they can't be that safe space for you. So now you feel like they changed on you or they don't love you anymore. So now you're feeling insecure about yourself even more. Like, oh, I just showed you my true self and everything I got going on, and now you acting like this. Like, see, this is why I don't do this. This is why I don't open up. I know that's how a lot of men think, and it's unfortunate because I feel like it's starting to really draw this gap in between men and women for sure. But we got to figure something out. And of course, it's in every situation. You have some people in your life that there are safe spaces. You have some relationships that are solid, and you have to really be able to understand the difference between those and the ones that you really have that you can count on that person. You have to be calling. Like Rod Wave just put a song on his newest album, like "Call Your Friends." Like, call how are you doing today? Everybody called for something, or you want to go out to the club, or you got some money. Can I get some money for it? Nobody, very few people actually hit you up and like, you good? Mental health check, scale 1 to 10. Like, you ain't even got to tell me what's going on, but just 1 to 10. How you feeling right now? Like, how many of your friends or your family members are actually doing that? You know, exactly. So just a toxic culture we live in general. But I'm starting to see there are more groups that are starting to form, like your platform. For example, like there are more things that are starting to form, and people are starting to talk about these things more. And then I think there's a spiritual shift in the world in general because it's just a lot going on, and we're all kind of getting to this collective. At least with our generation, is enough's enough. All that y'all been telling us is BS, and it's on us to kind of fix this. So it's starting to happen a little bit, but I think that's what's going on.
For sure, because we gotta definitely talk about this more because I did the gems you've been providing, like the gems you were providing. I was like, yo, I need to take notes on this for sure. And and I noticed you also are advocate of women in sports. What inspired you to advocate for women in sports, and why do you believe there's not enough male athletes that actually want to take a stance to it, especially if they're in the professional high level and the platform that they have?
One of the reasons I'm a big advocate is because Sharma is an all boys school. So I went to all boys school from 8th grade to senior year of high school. And just by being in that type of environment, we talked about women a lot, naturally. And one of the things we would talk about, we call it lunch table talks, which I wish podcasts were popular because if we would have had a podcast at lunch table talks, oh my goodness. But besides the point. So one of the things we would talk about were women in sports. And at first it started off as I like athlete women because they can relate. If I say I'm going to the gym at midnight to shoot 500 shots, you're not going to look at me crazy. You're probably going to want to come. So there was a bonding factor, right? And then as you get a little older, mostly when I get to college, you start to see, okay, we have lift at 6 a.m. The girls lift at 5 a.m. Snap. I come, we got practice at, I don't know, we used to practice in the morning. Girls have practice at like 2:30. Okay, if I'm being completely honest, a lot of men, I ain't going to class today, bro. I'm chilling. I'm gonna be a pro. Like that's how men are. Women, nah, I'm going to class. Y'all have the same schedule we have. You're actually going to class. Come home. I got homework. Actually doing your own homework. A lot of men, hey, shorty, can you do this for me? Or like, what?
Mhm.
Actually doing your. So I'm starting to see this in real life. Like, yo, they working way harder than us, but they still staying on campus, and we in a brand new apartment building, and they win more. They went to the Sweet 16 last year in the NCAA tournament, and we won 10 games. I started to actually see that in real life, and it's like, nah, this ain't right. Now, you want to look at it from a business standpoint, and then my girlfriend at the time, she played basketball, so I literally was with that every day. So then you fast forward, get a little older again, and you get to the business side of everything, and it's like, okay, I understand to a certain degree of why men will get paid more just because they technically bring in more revenue. Okay, cool, but women bring in revenue as well, and they do the same thing that we do. And men get paid so much more to where it's like, bro, we can bridge this gap a little bit. And even if it ain't coming from the owners or whatever, we can create our own little foundations to help. Like, because they doing the same thing we're doing. And on top of the women bodies technically aren't even really built to be athletes. So when they're athletes, it's so bad on their bodies. Like injury rate is higher, all type of stuff that they dealing with. So it's just like I started to really grow a admiration and a true like understanding of like the type of stuff that they really go through. And then you hear idiots say all the time, "Oh, nobody cares about women's sports. Nobody watches this. They don't dunk. They don't do this." And this goes to why you said you asked why don't a lot more men, especially professional athlete men or athlete men in general, support. And I think it comes from because they don't love the game truly themselves. They love what it does for them. Because if you love the game, we're talking about basketball right now. If you love the game of basketball, truly the essence of basketball, then you'll realize women basketball is very impressive because it's all skill and it's a higher IQ. So if you watch a high level women's game, you'll be like, wait a minute, they just ran what play or executed it to the T. Like this is impressive to watch if you know the game though. The average fan doesn't understand the game, which is why fans act the way that they act. Oh, bro, you couldn't score 4 points last night. I messed my parlay up. Like the average fan don't understand what's actually going on.
Mhm.
So that's another reason why you don't get a lot of support, even from athletes. Because a lot of athletes, men, don't understand what's going on themselves. So I think that's more of a like probably a more of a subconscious reason why. But I'm not 100% sure. A lot of people that I know, they kind of support a little bit. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure. And I also think it's because it's still really new in a way. I think the WNBA, what is this, is 26th year this year or this 25th year?
20, it'll be, they just had their 27th. So they started back in 1996. They just finished their 27th. So they're about to be in their 28th this upcoming year.
Okay, so it's it's still relatively new in a way. I think with our generation and the younger generation, it'll be more exciting because now you have more social media, you have more content. You got like Caitlin Clark's, people really like, oh, she's like. I hate that they call her the stuff of basketball because it's making it like another man thing, but you
Hmm.
have those comparisons, so it's making it more exciting. So I think it'll change. Like what was the exhibition game Iowa had? They had like what 55,000 people at the football stadium in Iowa.
Hmm.
You know what
Yep.
I mean? So I think it'll start to change just with our generation because we're more loving, we're more supportive, we're more like let's try to figure some of this BS out. So I think it'll get better over time. But that's why I feel like a lot of people don't, because they don't understand what's going on.
Or your answer was about to make me cry because I was like, yeah, I'm like, because like I just wish there was so many more male athletes that was just as passionate and advocate for women's sports. And just like you said, like there's so many like guys that said, oh, well, it was boring and stuff. But then like a lot of people don't know this. John Wooden, who is the winningest, probably one of the best and winningest coach ever, he even said that he loved women basketball, enjoyed watching it because they actually play like a team, and it's not like a men's team where they're like the flashy ISO ball and stuff. So,
Exactly.
but um and then like you said, like some of these male athletes, these they getting paid like crazy, like the millions and over 100,000 millions. like in if they could actually bridge and be able to maybe invest in women like teams, do you think that would actually hope to see that in the future?
I hope to see it in the future. But one thing, the more I get into the business world, I'm starting to realize there are not as many intellectual and business savvy people as you think. So there lays the problem. Um, a lot of people that have the money don't know what to do with it besides go do what rappers do, if I'm being completely honest, talking about men in general. So I think we have to have certain people, which it's starting to happen, but you have to have certain people that are, look, y'all, this is what we about to do, right? And then have the connections to the people with all the real money to be like, hey, bro, here. Because when people that really do business, they don't really care what the business is. You go to them with the right plan, the right return of investment, all of this. You have all the numbers worked out. Get some sponsorships, TV deals, all of this. They're going to invest because at the end of the time, they just want a return. They don't care, right? So we have to take people that care, pair that with business savvy people that can map it out and build it the right way. Pair that with the people that have the connections with the brands and the companies. Take all that together and take it to the billionaires, and then flood it. I think that's gonna has to be how it has to go. But again, you have to have the mind and understand what's going on both sides of the spectrum to make that come together and work. You know, then you can't have a bunch of egos. Like ego kills a lot. Well, I own this team. I got this girl. And if I'm being completely honest, there are some animalistic men out here, which I'm sure you know has been a woman in sports. So they're gonna be, well, my team's sexier than yours, bruh. Like, you feel me? Like, so that's you have to. So it's a lot of details you have to go through to win certain type of people out. Because all money ain't good money. you know, he could be worth 5 billion and ready to give you a billion, but he gonna cause some problems in the locker room trying to hit on everybody, or he got his partners coming in and they on some be like, yeah, you don't want that around either. So you have to be very careful. So it's gonna take those like-minded people and like-minded spirits to figure something out. But again, this is just my mind and how I think. But it's people aren't as smart as you think they are, even the people that you think are smart. So that's the problem.
That part, because and then you mentioned, I remember you mentioned that like you have the between the essence of the game, and I feel like you described like some people really don't love the game. I think they love the lifestyle that it brings, that just is beneficial for me. So it's like I don't have to work hard for it. So
For sure. Don't have to work hard. Well, yeah, in a way, some people don't have to work hard for some of the stuff they getting. And then like the lifestyle for sure. Like if I'm being completely honest, I can tell you last time I had to stand in line at a club. Little stuff
what?
like that. Little stuff like that because of the connections. Like just it's people fall in love with the lifestyle more than they fall in love with actually what's going on. Don't get me wrong, lifestyle is cool. Have fun. You work hard. You do what you do. You're supposed to enjoy the fruits of your labor, of course. But a lot of people, that's all they care about. And that's not even just sports. That's just life in general. All they care about is the result, which is why when stuff goes wrong or it's really time to level up and do something of the essence, no one seems to be able to do it because people are in it for what they get and not what can you give to.
Yeah, because and you made a point too how like, oh, Caitlin Clark is, people say she's the Stephen Curry, which is like, I'm pretty sure there's like, why do we have to have these female athletes being compared to these male athletes when there's other female athletes before them that were just as good back in the day?
Exactly.
And
Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, that's just off the top of my head. Like first two that she kind of similarly plays. Like you could have did that, but
my question is, who would you say were like the female athletes that you really looked up to, if you had like, and like what is it about, say, their game that you really like, dang, I really love their game?
so you know what's crazy? Um, seventh grade, I think seventh grade. I had a trainer who was a woman. This probably is what brings my essence to. I just thought about this. I had a trainer who was a woman. Her name was Angie. I don't want to mess her last name up, but it was Angie. She used to play in the WNBA, and she had I think it was a high school girls AAU team or a high school team, one of the two. And I would practice with them. It was cold. I'm talking about like again these details of the game, and they were high school girls, and I'm in middle school. Like, bro, I am getting cooked out here. Like, you feel me? And that's when it started to really. I looked up. I answered that to say I looked up to that group specifically. I mean, as you get older, you start to study like the legends of the game. But I looked up to that group specifically and Angie because it's like, bro, I ain't getting cooked out here. Like backdoor cuts, pocket passes, all this from like high school girls. And it's like, bro, why am I not being taught this in the men's world? I get I'm in middle school and I'm not all the way up yet, but they not that much older than me and they know what they doing.
Mhm.
So that means they've been getting taught this. Why are we not being taught these details? Which actually is probably a reason why I'm so into details now. This is like a revelation for me. Right? That's crazy. But at the same time, yeah, that group and Angie. Oh man, that was amazing to be a part of. It was a whole, I want to say probably 4 months or so I was with that group. And I was working out with her and I would practice with them after. And yeah, that was hectic. That was cooking me. And then I would go back to men. I'm just seeing stuff differently, and I'm like, all these angles. I'm looking at angles and this and that. And I'm like, oh, this is food. Y'all are food. Yeah, you're more athletic. You might be faster and stronger, but I'm seeing stuff that you don't see, so I'm not worried about you. So that group.
So you basically saw more of the fundamentals with when you were practicing with the girls team at times than say the guys who are just running and gunning, like just physical.
Exactly.
Man. And you kept saying I was getting cooked. I was like,
It's
oh
cool.
man.
Cool. And I always say this, and I'm gonna go on record saying this. So people always say, "My girls are better shooters. Y'all ball is smaller though. The hoop the same size. The ball is smaller. So technically, percentage wise, yeah, it's supposed to go in higher percentage at the time. But I will say, girls have beautiful form, so y'all can shoot. Y'all can shoot that thing.
Thank you.
Y'all can shoot that thing. Sure.
And you know, the crazy thing is too, like I wish we would get more viewership, but there's always those people that guys, their response, you know, you would get more viewership if you guys dunk. You know, just lower the rim. And I'm like, this is the crazy mindset we've heard so many years. Like, just actually take the time to watch it. Like, there's, you know, a few girls in the college league team that actually was dunking and they were having fun. You know, that's like, oh my gosh, like Lisa Leslie was dunking in the WNBA. Candace Parker dunked. Brittany Griner dunked in college. And then a girl from Stanford, friend Billy. I apologize if I said your name wrong, but she dunked. She was dunking in the high school like McDonald's All American and dunked in college. So it's like, yeah, the you know, we have the same rim height as y'all, but we managed to dunk. So
Exactly. You know
so
what I think girls should start doing? Every now and then, you got to play the antagonist in life, right? I think girls should be, when you hear the response of, "Oh, y'all don't dunk," or "It's boring to watch," I think girls should be like, "No, y'all just not smart enough to understand what we're doing." If you play the antagonist a little bit, they will excuse me, and then more people will. You gotta, sometimes you gotta play a little bit.
That mental like reverse psychology on them.
Yeah, for sure.
I see that psychology being used. You that just reminded like when you said you majored in psychology, I was like, man, he did the same major that Tim Duncan did back in the day when he was in Wake Forest, and like I could see you using that psychology on players because it's a mental game. So it's like, yeah, I got you. Like,
Every time, every time, every time.
so so my question is like, um, do you see a lot of women in sports, growing in the international league more than say the United States league?
Absolutely, because one, they get paid more over here. Two, European basketball fits women's basketball more because it's more detail based, it's more teamwork based. So it's more of a natural fit. Then the fans here, of course, some fans are better than others depending on the country, what league you're in. But no, seriously, it just depends. But at the same time, though, the fans are more appreciative of it though because they love detailed basketball. That's just how Europe is in general. That's why even like on the men's side, a lot of men that are good in America aren't good in Europe because you got to know what's going on the court to be at a high level in Europe. It's a lot of tactics, it's a lot of details. Um, it's more teamwork based. You can still be who you are, but it's more team oriented. So that's why you see a lot of women flourishing a lot over here because it just naturally fits the way that they've been taught their whole lives in the States. It fits more rather than us. It's been play fast, be a bucket, space the floor, one on one if you can, like throw a lob. You get over here and it's okay. You can still do a little bit of that, but now when you come off a pick and roll, there's a two-step hard hedge and the guard is dropping, and then he coming to the guard. So like the paint is clogged. There's no defense for 3 seconds. So you gotta know how to throw pocket passes, and then if he step up, kick it to the corner, or if he don't step up, cut back door, then the 45 goes. Like you have to know these things to work here. And if you haven't been taught that growing up or all the way through college, you're not gonna be able to be successful because you're gonna get here and be like, well, what's going on? But women, they've been taught these things. So as they get over here and have to fit that mold, it works. It works for them.
That makes sense because there's some I know I've heard like in the NBA there's like there's so many players. It's always the international players that become the best players in the NBA, and it's like
Yeah, because mentally, it's so simple. Like if you look at Luca play, well, one Luca's size allows him to play as slow as he does. But yeah, if you look when you look at Luca, what he does is very European. Like he's coming off a pick and roll, if you're in drop, he's going. He gets great screens first and foremost. If you're in a drop coverage, he's going to eat the space up, get to a slow, lean layup, fade, or if your help guy don't help off the shooter because you got someone like Seth Curry in the corner and you can't help off, he's throwing a lot. And then the NBA is so much space, you got defensive 3 seconds, you can time it. Okay, you can run a play and know he has to hop out of this lane. Now we're going to attack the lane right now because he can't be there. So now you're always late. It's a foul. You look at Jokic, he catching the high post and they're just running the motion offense. And he's so big, he can lean on you all game. He sees angles that you don't see because, again, he's coming from Europe. He understands that if I catch on the post and you double, if the guy from the top cuts, he's going to either be open for a dunk or he's going to bring this guy in and the opposite corner is open or not corner, opposite wing is open for a three. He understands this. And then you have these Europeans in practice, you have them in the film rooms teaching the other Americans around them. But there are only certain, you have noticed there are certain type of Americans that can play with these Europeans. They don't go get the superstars. They go get guys that are younger. They go get guys that have some overseas experience. They go get people that understand, okay, we got to fit a certain mold to fit either a Luka or a Jokic, and they blend it and then You have like the Denver Nuggets. Like nobody's messing. I don't know about this year. I haven't checked the standings, but like last year they just swept through everybody because it's clockwork. If you're here, that means he's not there. He's open. If you're here, he's open. And then if it's one on one, can't nobody guard me one on one. I'm 7 foot, 260 pounds. So it's like you have all of this, you know.
And I remember they were saying like, those type of players would say like the competition is like really doesn't compare to the overseas. Like it's more physical overseas than this
Way
is.
more. I got about 4 bruises after every game. It's not even close.
What?
Yeah, you getting beat up out here for sure. Pressure
Dang.
full court, 4 or 5 different defenders pressuring you full court all game. Yeah, yeah, it's hectic, and you got to play defense too. Yeah,
It's like a lot, and at times I feel like the league here is more entertainment based at
money.
times.
It's money. Yeah,
So, and then you have the overseas is more like, just like you said, it's more fundamental, more physical. Like they actually playing defense, and
yeah.
some of these players that's like defense really doesn't matter. I just want to shoot the ball, just pass me the
Mhm,
ball, everything. So,
mhm.
what would you say that when you played at Qatar, and what would you say was the you were on the national team? What was the competition like when you were at Qatar versus like where you are at Lithuania? Like, what's the competition difference and similarities?
So I would say Lithuania. I would say Europe in general. I would say competition wise is harder just because of the tactics. Because now Qatar is in Europe, it's Asia, and Asia game is more like America. So in Qatar, the competition level is still really high because when you're saying national team now, national team is a whole nother level of intensity and player style because you have the best players from these countries on their team, right? And you're playing for the country. It's like when Team USA goes, like that's Team USA is our national team. So it's like that type of intensity. So it's it's super interesting because until you get to play in that type of environment, you don't realize the magnitude of winning for somebody's country, and that takes the intensity up to a whole nother level. So I would say intensity wise, it matches like it will match a Lithuania as far as like being beat up off screens, getting hit, fouls. Um, just we're not gonna give it to you easy. Those things match. Um, I would say IQ based. I would give the nod to like Lithuania and Europe more because again, Asia matches more of American style, so the court is still a little more open, and they're really building up the IQ in basketball in Asia. Now they're starting to get like they have more European coaches there. You know, they're teaching the youth more things, so they're really trying to build the IQ base of it now. But I would say the athleticism and skill is higher in like Qatar and Asia because again they match America. They watch all our videos, they look at all our highlights, so their body patterns match what we do back home. So there's like this mix of European and American style. It's weird in a way, you know. But I think they both have their strengths and weaknesses. I would say some similarities would just be probably this. No, they don't have very many similarities because Asia is more spaced. Europe is no, it's not spaced a lot. So it's a lot of differences. IQ for sure is stronger in Europe. Though. I have to give that to Europe. Um, but I like the flow of the game in Asia better because it makes some of the stuff in basketball that happens in Europe is like, but it's not basketball. Bro. What are you doing? But you're getting away with it. You know, over there the game flows better. It's more up tempo. You know, here it's a little more slower, more half court. Here is more up tempo, transition drags, and you can play faster. So yeah.
When you started, how did you prepare yourself to know, like, man, I gotta take a lot of sacrifices. Like, I'm gonna be away from home. Like, did you had to prepare yourself to know those things? And what would you say is like the misconception of playing overseas?
Yeah, sacrifice wise, definitely had to prepare myself, but it wasn't too much of a preparation because I kind of always knew I would end up in Europe or Asia. Um, of course, you always dream to go to the league, but once you get older and start understanding politics and everything, and then I mean, at the end of the day, I'm 6'1", so and I'm not a freak athlete. Like, yeah, I'm a hell of a basketball player, but I'm not a freak athlete. And I understood the evolution of the game in America and where it was going. You got Victor Wembanyama's now, bro. What am I supposed to do with this? You know what I'm saying? So it's like I understood where the game was going. So just being smart. Um, I knew coming over here early to start this trajectory. So by the time I get to February, I'll be 26. So by the time I get to 26, 27, I'll be on the highest level or in Europe and be able to make, you know what I'm saying? So it's like I was smart enough to understand it's going to take a process. So let's start early rather than late. But um, sacrifice wise, I just kind of how I've always been. I've always sacrificed the now for the later. Um, it's something that kind of was instilled in me by my parents. They're really work hard people and like kind of just put your head down and come up with a plan and do what you're gonna do. So my goal was always once I knew I was coming across the water, it's just like okay, personally I don't want to play longer than 30, 32 max, depending on how my career's going at the time, because I just got other stuff I want to do in life. You know, I just have a lot more I want to do in my life. If I'm being honest, I love basketball. I always will be involved with it, but I don't. I've been blessed enough to not have to play basketball until I'm 40. God bless me with a brain, so I'm going to use my brain. You know what I'm saying? I've been playing real competitive basketball since I was 5. That's been 20 years. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, good job. We can go on to something else. So when I started the process, I was just like, okay, at the time I was 22. I'm okay, give myself a 10-year window. I think it would be cool to be able to say I was a pro basketball player for 10 years. So I was like, let's strive for that. If something changes, okay, cool. There's a dollar amount that's in mind. Okay, when I hit the dollar amount, if it's earlier or around the time that I think, then we're done. Um, and then after that, one of the misconceptions I would say, I think people think it's sweet. They think, oh, if it don't work out back home in the league or G League or something, I'm just gonna go overseas. No, bro, that's it's very disrespectful. Now you could come to a B C league somewhere, something like that, and make $500 a month. Yeah, but if you want to actually do something like make some money where you can go home and work out and chill and get your body ready for next season, like be a real pro that way, you can't just oh I'm going overseas. Like that's super disrespectful to one, the leagues over here because the basketball is super high quality. Two, is disrespectful to the players that are from here first, the natives. And three, is super disrespectful to the Americans that are on this trajectory and are taking these steps each year to grow and grow. Um, to think that you could just if it don't work out, I'm going up. Like that's not how this works. And I get DMs all the time like, hey bro, I'm just gonna try to go back. Like bro, and go play where I'm playing. Like no disrespect, no, that's just like they're not going to take you. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like you have to build something. You have to have play in this place and this place to get an opportunity in this place, and then play good here to get an opportunity in this type of place. Like you have to build, bro. You can't just go, oh, I'm going. Like it's not sweet. And a lot of guys start to realize that now in the summertime with the TBT tournament. You know, they're like, oh, these dudes overseas, they cold. Yes, I don't know what y'all think this is. Like, yeah, everybody don't make it to the league. It's only 450 spots. Okay. But you really think it's only 450 good basketball players in the world, bro? Like a lot of people really think like that. You know, same thing with the WNBA. They have even less spots. You know,
144,
144, which is whoa,
12
that's
teams.
crazy.
Yeah. Like
That's crazy.
140.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's that low. I thought it was like half, not that. Now, yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah.
There's a
Like,
problem too. They gotta raise that. Like, there's no reason like that. That's now I see why every year is like she got cut. Why she 144 spots? That's nuts.
a lot of people don't know that because, like, they had a whole documentary about it because they were going to with the bubble. And that was hard because it was 2020. Everybody's on edge with everything that was going on in the world and the bubble, and it's like, but yes, 12 teams, 144 spots. You have all these drafts that's like 3 rounds, and you're not guaranteed anymore at this point. Like, you could be the top 5 draft pick. Like, there was a girl that was the number 1 pick in her class and got cut from a team that she was playing for. And I'm like, you see all these, so it's like, it's not guaranteed. Now there's a reason why some of these college players are staying the extra, with the NIL now, because they're making more money than the WNBA. It's like, and now also Golden State Warriors are finally like getting a WNBA team, but that won't be released till 2025. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's nuts. But yeah, so people think it's sweet over here. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions. And unlike NBA players, you can't Google what some players make, or you can't Google what any players make, which I love, by the way. I love that. Oh God, I love that. But I think a lot of people think, oh, you're going overseas? Okay, that's cool. Not really realizing, not everybody, but in some situations, like, you wouldn't believe how much these dudes make. So yeah, it's a humble lifestyle. You got to be a pretty humble person to be over here. And I think I love it because you have a lot of isolation time, so it gives you a lot of time to grow, a lot of time to self-reflect, a lot of time to get some business stuff in order, figure out like what it is you want to do after basketball is finished for you. So, but yeah, those are some of the biggest misconceptions.
I noticed you spoke about your parents, how they install like certain things. Would you say they are your biggest supporters as well as your role models in both life and sport?
Um, Supporters for sure. It's funny. I start with my dad. He has a funny way of supporting. He acts like he doesn't pay attention, and it's funny because he's probably watching this live as we speak. Like, he's just one of those guys. Like, he's, you know. But for sure, support. My mom, super supportive. She the one that did a lot of the driving around in my AU tournaments. And my dad, did a lot of traveling. He drive trucks and stuff, so he did a lot of stuff like that growing up. But yeah, my mom did definitely a lot of traveling in AU tournaments. So that's my road dog right there. Uh, they also my biggest, like, I wouldn't say motivators, in a way motivator, but not in like the you can do it. No, hey, you bullshitting. Like, you have 4 points to pass. This especially like back in college before you become a pro, like, or high school for sure. You AAU game. This college coach this year, you had 5 points. You know you ain't going to college if you don't get no scholarship, right? Like, shit. I mean, yeah, lock in. You need to figure something out. Like that type of, because you, at the end of the day, you're a black man from America. So yeah, we're gonna give you love, we're gonna give you everything that you need, but we're not gonna sugarcoat this. And that's one thing I credit them for. They motivated me in a real way, which is why I carry myself the way I carry myself as an adult, because we are not sugarcoating this. If this don't work, what are you gonna do? Because we're not paying for college. We pay for high school. That's literally those exact words, you know? So yeah, they motivate me, but in a real way, even to this day. Now I'm very, very self-motivated. Now, so you don't have to do this much. Now there is actually crazy. There's some more on the flip side of how you feeling, what's going on. Do you need help with anything back home? Like, you carrying a lot on your shoulders. You're trying to do a lot, which in a way I understand why you're doing it, but you're doing a lot for a 25-year-old to be doing on his own. Like, do you need help? Like, it's more of that type of support now as I'm older, but yeah, that I would say biggest supporters for sure, and motivators. But just in the real way, not that everything glitters is gold type of way.
That's facts, because that's interesting to have a mind. Like you say, they don't sugarcoat nothing. Like, man, you tiptoeing through the tulips with that. Like, why are you messing around, BSing and everything? Like, they ain't got, nobody's gonna be like, you got this. Like, nah, I'm gonna just get straight to the point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And they always been big on, most people, especially you become a pro, you get into the business world, all this. Most people are looking for a reason not to deal with you. So you need to understand that. You need to carry yourself to that perspective. What you doing in your personal life with your close homies, your family in the summertime, cool. But when you go to work or when you go to a meeting, you need to be 10. You need to look like this. You need to act like this. Shut up. Don't be the one talking the most in the room. Like real morals. You know what I'm saying? Like real principles. So now my parents some gangsters though. All right, shout out to Mike Lady for sure.
Yeah, yes. So I always ask my guests before, like, towards the end of the show. So the word bona fide means authentic and certified. So for you, Mr. Mike, what what makes you bona fide? And on top of that, what makes your journey and story different from everyone else and stands out?
So I'm gonna give you this quick little nugget. I'm big on like omens of life and like synchronicities. So the fact that you just said the word authentic, um, I had a my first LLC I ever created was called Infinite Authenticity, and authentic is one of my favorite words. So that's just a good we belong to having this conversation type moment. But bona fide. I would say one my character. I am a true man of my word. I'm built from the old school, which is I'm starting to realize is super rare in this generation. So that for sure. If I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. Um, outside of that, I would say a true man of God. Like I fear God and no man, and no weapon formed against me shall prosper. And I deeply believe that, and I live my life like that. Um, and what makes my journey authentic is it's real. I've been through a lot, still going through stuff to this day. We'll forever go through stuff that's part of being human on this journey of life that we are on. But I'm vocal about it. Now I'm not going to spread my business unnecessarily, but when it comes time to have certain conversations or connect with certain people, especially like like mentorship part of my company, I'm going to be real with you because I've been fortunate enough to have real people around me growing up. And I know that's one of the tools that God has given me to be one of his vessels is just being real. You may not really like what I have to tell you at this time, but later on when you calm down, you can respect it and you can understand it. Um, and then I know I'm not perfect. Like I think that's a huge I'm humble in not the sense of like the traditional use of the word, but in the sense of I don't know everything. Um, I understand that I have my flaws. I know what some of my flaws are. I do some shadow work, so I can tell you, and you just know what you're gonna get with me. I think that's what makes me bona fide. Like I'm a very consistent person. Every day, I'm pretty much gonna have the same emotions. I'm gonna have the same demeanor. You know what I mean? So I'm just solid. I think I'm pretty solid.
That's too real. Like that's too real right there. Like you all about business. You say what you say, I'm gonna stand on it. Like you don't just talk the talk, you gonna make sure you walk the walk.
Yeah, I'm 10 toes for sure.
So can you let the viewers know how they can find you and support you and what's anything upcoming for you?
Yeah, man. Y'all can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, whatever. All Mike Lewis the second, little I. Um, you can also follow Young Kings Worldwide LLC on Instagram. That's the company that we're building right now. What was the back end of the question? I forgot.
Any upcoming events, like any games they could tune in or anything like that?
Um, yeah, not really. Basketball is basketball. I'm not gonna lie, basketball is basketball. I will say though, upcoming events. Um, I'll say stay tuned to Young Kings Worldwide LLC or my page, Mike Lewis II. We have a lot of interesting dynamics coming. I don't want to say too much, but we're getting the network and the group together to have like one of the best companies in our generation. And I don't mean that just from like product based. It's all service based, which is what's going to make it one of the biggest companies in our generation. Um, it's going to be big on. I can give you these tidbits: athlete life coaching, um, motivational speaking, mentorship, youth skills camps, skill development, all of everything from athletes and from artists or podcasting or whatever it is that you like to do. We're going to have a support system for you, some mentorships for you to be able to understand what you need to go through from like even like paperwork standpoint, how to make an LLC, how to get business credit, how to do all this, like have everything laid out for you in your department. So it's a lot we're working on right now, and it's going very well. So I would just say stay tuned for that. A lot more information will come out this summer, around May, June, once I get back in the States. That is the one thing I hate about being over here is I have to be kind of distanced from the business that I could really be getting done because of the time difference and just not being able to go places physically. But yeah, I would say stay tuned for the summertime for sure. Of course, we're gonna have some new merch coming out. So y'all, we're gonna have some fire hoodies coming for y'all. I'm a big hoodie person. Some good t-shirts and stuff. So yeah, it's up and coming. So just stay tuned. Keep the word and the name in the back of your mind. You'll start to see it also.
I know that's right. But thank you, Mike, for just coming in and telling your story. It is super appreciated. And thank you for all the people that tuned in. We got a new episode coming up, and you could be sure to watch the live replay after the streaming. And thank you guys. You guys are always appreciated. Peace.